Like any good Twitch person, you have to watch yourself. See if it's streaming. It says I'm online. Take a chance. Take a quick moment. And press to change. Like any good Twitch person, you have to watch yourself. See if it's streaming. Feedback speed for change. Okay. Well, if nothing else, I got the chat room open. Nobody's here, but if you're in the recording, just going to let you know I'm working on Shields out. I've been working on this user interface, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next. Oh, my sensors catch up. I got it. Oh, there it is. Come on, sensors. There we go. All right. There we go. Turn that off. Turn that off. Stop that. Anyways, we have our buy and sell working left and right. This is kind of where we left it. Buying and selling different things. Lighting's not quite right. You know, but I'm going to actually kind of hold off on this for just one moment. And that's mostly because I'm really actually pleased with this. But I'm gonna in a sense, I'm going to block out. I have a second user interface I want to do before I get too far on this road, and that is I want a map where you can select things. So I'm going to use basically this outline, and I'm going to make a different display. It's going to sit in front of you. And what I'd like to do is make it so it's a map that's a star chart and have different things glowing on top of it. Not really sure how good this is going to come out. This may be ugly, but sometimes the beauty of doing these things is you try something and you got something in your mind's eye and it might or might not work, but it's worth a try. So what let's go ahead and see if we can do this. I'm going to take my current user interface and I'm going to just turn it off. You can see I've got some buttons floating in the screen there. We're not going to use those. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to turn off just that whole section. And so if I do that, I should be back to plain room. I'm just going to make sure I'm working with a base setup. I'm going to come to my right control. My batteries are a little low. Okay, but you can see no user interface, nothing else being spawned, no panes, nothing. Okay, good. That's actually a good thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use kind of the same object. I'm going to make a rectangle, but I'm going to try something different. Instead of flat at the screen facing you, I'm going to put it down 30 degrees. And try to put a map on it, I think. Star chart, and then I'm going to make it so I guess there's hot spots. So if you put your hand, for now, I'm going to just make it so if you put you have to touch that hot spot. So we'll make a little collider there and make something appear. In this case, I think I'm going to just do a simple asteroid and see if I can put a holographic effect on it. Real simple. I'm running late tonight, so this will have to be a little shorter than some nights, but let's see what we can do. Okay. Alright, so let's just start by getting our panel out. We were using this standard panel, this pane, that's where I put pane translate. I have this pane on the end of a canvas, which I call the by command pane. I don't technically need I really don't need it, I just mostly need the graphic in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a little bit fresh. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, open up that's old, I don't want that. What was that? This one. Photoshop Elements is kind of this, I got it fully legal with my tablet, and I actually like it. It's kind of lightweight, admittedly. Photoshop is, the full package is much better. But I don't know, it's grown on me. Not sure why. Probably because it's fully legal, fully legit, wonderful, you know, all that jazz. I don't like the fact that it makes you log in to some system that I have no idea what it's doing. I don't log in, I just go in. Anyways, so here we go. It came up in the other window. Alright, so what we have is we have recently worked on a pane, which is not in this list. I was doing some other stuff, so it's been a while. So, what did I do with that pane? I have this canvas, I have this image. Oh yeah, that's right, it's a canvas with an image. Because I'm putting user interface together, and I wanted to have all the powers and features. So what I think I'll do is I'll just kind of copy that. Let's copy that. We'll just, for the moment, tell you what, I'm going to put that at the end of the pane. We're going to start as if it is vertical. I think I'll do that. Let's see here. And this, of course, is just a transform with nothing on it, so we're good. We'll just copy this guy. We'll copy him over, and I'm going to put him, where is that? Just paste it in there. Okay. This is going to be its own entity. It's not prefab or anything right now, but you can see I've got my empty pane. Before I go too far, I'm going to actually fiddle with this image a bit. Now, this image is, I call it blue rim. It literally is just a image of this with it's been 9 sliced. I'm going to go ahead and change that out a little bit. Let me go find, where did I put that? Texture. Where is the texture reference? Anybody? Anybody? Let me see. They have advanced. Strange. Usually there's a texture you select. That was right here on here. It's a sprite editor. But that is using the texture. Put texture alpha texture, all that jazz. Wow, I am just totally forgetting. Okay, fine. We'll do this the other way. We'll go ahead and I'm going to just pull up my working directory. Oh, actually, I'm not thinking. I'll just go to the assets here. I have a UI. I have a blue rim right here. I'll just show it in Explorer. This is just a directory. We'll take the blue rim and call it, and I'm going to just call it blue space. Okay, so we take blue space and we're going to go over here and we're going to see if we can do some neat effects without too much work. This is just demo, so I'm not going to keep this. So I don't want to spend too much time on this. Let's do one thing though. I just want to, I'm kind of curious. Can I fill this with a slight alpha? I actually want something that's alpha-esque. So let's try. Let's go ahead and pick up the blue. Eyedropper. That blue. I'm going to change it. Let's see here. Nope. To fill it. Oh, no. Picked up a window. I'm going to do contiguous and click on this. You guys want to see that? Okay. There's no alpha setting. So the best thing to do in this case is we create a new layer. Just create a new layer. And we have the layer, this layer's on top, but it's going to, whoops, all layers, sorry. We're going to fill based on all layers. And of course I have our wonderful line, which occurs because of problems. It actually kind of looks decent, considering. The interesting thing is it's actually the alpha. It probably doesn't come through there very well, but that's not acceptable. Okay. Let's just undo that real quick. Let's see what my fill options are. It's got a high tolerance. It does anti-aliasing. If we don't, just worse. Anti-aliasing. Really? What type of tolerance do we have to go further? No. Alright, well, we're going to go with it just for the moment. As I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on it. So I'm going to just change this opacity because I'm going to make it really light, like 10%. Wow, I'm surprised it disappeared. 30, 40. Alright, we'll go with 50%. Looks pretty good. It's a little bit of shade. We save that out. Of course, it's want to save that as a Photoshop, but I want to export that out. Save that out as the PNG I'm going to use. PNG saves the alpha. So there you have it. Okay, now this isn't going to change. He's going to add over here. Instead of blue rim, we're going to have a new, there we go. He's got blue space. It's meta. There it is, blue space. It showed as transparent, but I guess that might be a limitation. There we are. Was I looking at the canvas again? No. Oh, I was looking at the sprite itself. Okay. So here's blue space. Blue space needs to be 9 sliced to match the same basic technique. Here's the PNG. So we're gonna change that to a sprite 2D. We're gonna do actually it's the sprite editor. Yes, we're gonna apply that. I remember this. I just made it 100 on each side. This is actually 1,000 by 1,000 textures, so it's bigger than it really needs to be. But I'm gonna let it go. All right, we're done with that. Apply that, and then our image over here can use the blue space that we have. Boom. Way too dark. Alright, well, that's the beauty of this system. Go over here, let's 25% it, save it, export as PNG again. Overwrite our previous file, come over here, wait for it to catch up. Oh shoot, did I save it as copy? I did, didn't I? PNG, yeah, sure did. Get that. PNG space. Overwrite it. Thank you, editor. Okay, so we overwrite that. We wait. There we go. It's a little more transparent. Okay, so it's getting darker because of the nature. Wow. I didn't think I'd have to go that low, but let's just go ahead and... It has to do a little bit of the math and the lighting. Oh, and you probably need to check the lighting on it. Let's actually, before we do that, let's check. It says it's pretty light here. You can see that the alpha is transparent, etc. So it's all proper there. Nothing here that I necessarily care about. Look at the image. Good. Canvas. Scalar. Raycaster. World space. I don't see anything about lighting. I've never really thought about lighting on a canvas. Additional shaders. Scalar. Now let me look at it real quickly in VR. Let's see. We just have to make it more and more transparent. I don't know if it's a limitation. Yeah, it pretty much looks just like you would expect. Yeah, looks just like you would expect based on the editor. It looks just like the editor. It really is quite, must be a little surprising. Okay, well, as I said, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just find this so much harder to believe than what we had before. Really? It's almost like it's. Let's do something. We make this one layer. We export. Save as PNG one more time. I just have a hard time believing this one. Over the top. I guess I could put a black background on it and see how it looks. Alright, well, let's go with it for now. Well, that's at 10%. Alright, well, enough for now. I'm going to go see if I can find a star chart. Let's see if there is a star chart out there. Okay, star chart. Star chart image. Alright. Oh, wow. Interesting stuff. Let's see what the image is. Typical NASA stuff, to be expected. Something a little closer. Actually, let's try something. Asteroid charts. Asteroid map. I have to put image on this. Yeah. Interesting. This is getting closer. Hard to see, but something relatively sparse. That could be interesting. Hey, yeah, I know that's Earth, but it actually kind of works for what I need today. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this one. I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to drop that sucker in. New image from clipboard. Boom. Image. Let's see what's the size of this thing. Oof. Well, it's bigger than I want it to be, so let's do our transformations on this. So I'm going to just save this for the moment as a star chart. And yeah, I'm putting this probably in the wrong place. But all right, so what we're going to do is I think I can do a filter. I have not done a filter effect. I wonder. I've never really thought about that. I don't know why. No, I'll just colorize it for now. Okay. I'll make them all blue. And we're going to basically take this image and let's play with it a little bit. Filter. I'm going to just change it to grayscale for the moment. I don't really want all that color because I'm going to change it to kind of a light blue and put it on top of this backdrop. You'll see how that works. I got it in my mind. Actually, what would be kind of cool is if we could get rid of all the black. That might be more than the engine can handle. Can't really see. Before we do that, let's go ahead and let's change the grayscale. Drop in all our color. Now let's go to, we'll go back to RGB. And this is kind of a white. Actually, this might be good enough. Just put a blue tinge on it. Put a blue tinge on it. I have an idea. Okay. Well, first we got to get everything but black. We inverted it. Might work. But I really want transparency, so this is going to look awful. But let's just, actually, before we do that, actually, let's do an image. Let me look at this. See how these pixels look. Is this, this is not the best image in the world. And then we got this whole gray swath. Oh, that's not going to work. We can do multiply. There's people that know this better than I do. Well, let's resize it to the size I want, which I'm going to do is like 900 by 900. Give or take. Keep it proportional. Make sure we can see. Starting to like that idea to invert. Yeah. All right, let's see what we can do. Pop this in here. Wait a minute now. I thought this was oh, that's 512 by 512. Okay. I'm gonna make it back up. Image resize this to 512. Well, make it a little 480. So let's not be fully round, or it's got extra. Oh, okay, and there's also stuff on the bottom. Thank you. I know technically I should give them some credit. And I dropped that and fill that in there. Okay. Might be able to get away with a multiply. It's been a while since I've done this stuff, so. And just to keep everything uniform, I'm going to fill in the edge. Whoops. No layers, just this layer. Boom. He figures. Alright, forgot my tolerance is way up there. No tolerance. Whatever. Cool. Let me just quickly clean that up. Try it again, Long. Just mostly need this stuff. These lines taken care of. Fill in the black. Fill in with the black. Why am I not filling in the black? No, because you don't select it. Okay. Alright, so there we go. That's about as exciting as I get. If I do a multiply, no, I'm not going to do what I need. Not totally. I'm not sure what alpha and multiply does sometimes. That's interesting. Put a blue back. I did a multiply up here. Yeah, I'm getting black. I was afraid of. Could try. I'm kind of curious. Let me just do this. Select. No, sorry. Filter, adjustments, inverse. Boom. I don't see. May have to find me another star chart. This might just not be what I want tonight. Okay, again, all I'm trying to do is get white lines on blue. Anybody? We got white lines. To get rid of black, I can only think of a few ways to do this. And if it wasn't for this Milky Way in the middle, I would have just masked it out. I might still be able to do that. Maybe I should. But because of the aliasing on the lines, our lines will look really bad. Or I can just let it go and make it black, which not, again, not what I want. But maybe that's good enough for tonight. Let's see. Well, let's do a little doctoring. Let's see if we can at least well, I guess I can try it. Let's see what it looks like. I had a little bit of tolerance, but I bet she's going to look really bad. So let me put a black background so we can see what's going on. Layer, new, just new fill layer, solid color, black. Not as exciting as it gets. Yep, black. Put that at the back. Black in the back. Stop doing multiply. Put that back to normal. And as you can see, everything looks like it's gone. So Not all bad though. Maybe that's good enough for a test. I mean, just okay. So there's no lines. Back up though. Let's give it one more try. Okay. Let's change the tolerances. Select nothing. Something pretty tight. That. See, now we get the gray. The gray in the middle there. Pretty ugly looking. Let's up it just a bit more. Maybe we can find a happy medium. Nope. Almost. Let's go for 24. Good enough. Not quite. Yeah, we're almost up to where we were. We're going to end up with about the same thing. Alright, we'll just go back to what we had then. It looks interesting. Not what I want, but we'll let it go. Alright. So a bunch of speckles. Again, if I put that layer at the end, mostly for look. Go back to normal. Yeah, I don't think any of these are going to really bring it out. Dissolve. I mean, because it's kind of basically black and white, it's not going to have a lot of these aren't going to do a whole lot. Oh yeah, I could always do a color layer. I don't know why I'm thinking about that. Color layer. Let's do that then. Can we do a color layer? But it's black. Black. Ah. Color layer. Multiply. I'm doing multiply on the top there. Colorize. It's only 2%. Alright, well, we're going to go with it for the moment. It's kind of stupid, but as I said, we just need a test. Alright, well, it's another layer on my PNG. I'm going to just go ahead and save that on top. And it may look totally different in the game based on, just on the fact that it's been looking different. Brings that in. I did it again. Okay. Save as PNG. Not the copy. Okay. Go back over here. Over here, I mean. There's our little star chart. Actually, that looks a little better than I thought. I'm going to take a look at it real quick. Just really wanted some speckling. Still would have preferred the lines, but we're good. Oh, that actually looks pretty good. I'm impressed. On that text at the top there, they're actually pretty darn good. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate this up, and maybe 45, maybe 30 degrees, 60, I don't know. I'm going to actually make it bigger too, so more like a table. That actually looks actually good. I'm surprised. I really didn't think it'd be. I mean, it's just dots, but whatever. It actually worked pretty well. Okay. Now, I have basically the translate. I have pushing it out. There's a plane with the canvas there, and I just want to rotate it. So I should only have to rotate the canvas, but I'm gonna. All right, it's gonna give me some options. So I'm gonna go ahead and create an empty. We'll call it pane rotate. And we're going to put the canvas inside of that rotation. And now that's all after the, did I do that right? Yeah. Yeah. So now if I rotate it 45, wrong one. Rotate it 45 degrees along, I believe this is now No. 45 degrees along that way. Good. You can also make that canvas bigger if you want. I might be pushing it. I'll do somewhere in between. Looks pretty good. All right. Big table. Now let me see if the angle feels right. It looks good. It's only 45 degrees, so. And what I'm looking for here is I don't want people to have to really reach. In fact, I'm hitting the screen and not be too close. So strangely, what I need is a little closer this way and a little smaller. That way people can reach right about here, here, here. Now, I'm using me as a centric, but I'm still trying to get it so people can be sitting here about. And it actually probably needs to go a little lower, a little closer. Not too bad. Okay, table-esque. So it needs to be lower, and I forget that was that high. So we're going to bring this down. So we're going to bring it down just a little bit. We're going to bring it a little closer. Yeah, I do everything with numbers most days. We can do that just to have a little more control. Let's just shrink it just a little bit first. Let's try going too small. All right, scale Z. There's no Z on canvas. I guess. So quick look-see. There we go. The only problem is I'm hitting my keyboard right about here. So this part's going to be a problem. And this is partly why I'm thinking it might still be better to rotate it out even further. Yes, I could be doing all these rotations on the fly in the editor and then saving it, but I think I'll just give it a quick try this way. All right, so I'm going to actually still make it smaller, still a little too big, and I'll make it. It's actually very close to where it was originally, but you didn't have to go to the full corners. A little lower, a little more rotated. So it's not flat. Again, I want this to be like a sitting position. I'm actually standing at the moment, but we're going to adjust the heights for the gameplay. And again, this is just to feel out the controls and see if they work out. I'm also just using a standing desk because I've gotten tired of sitting. So I'm hitting the table right about here, but that's not. I need to clean. My batteries are low. So here we are. I usually have this much problem with my sensors. I'm not sure why. But here's another little detail. You don't necessarily have to touch it for what I want. You want basically a little. There it is. Now I'll tell you what. We'll bring it up. We'll bring it up a little further. This will be one of those interesting problems that you encounter with VR, and that my height's so high, my body, and even if you adjust the height for where that is, my hands to my eyes are one size. Each person is going to be a little different. I'm going to have to go through playtest and see if that makes sense. There's not a lot of good answers other than to like scale or roll. Like, I don't know. I'm going to try to keep it so it's not that way. Now I'm also kind of close to the table. Somebody can easily play back and recenter further back, but a lot of these sit games, usually you actually use an Xbox controller. So I'm actually probably going to end up with people mostly standing, or like I do in many games, I sit in a chair away from the computer altogether. And all the controls are going to be here. You're going to need keyboard. You can't see the keyboard. Should be fine. All right, so back to what I was doing. All right, so for the moment, I'm going to just go ahead and raise it up a little bit more. And I think that'll be enough for now. I don't want to overthink this yet. I still got plenty to do tonight that I want to get done before we go too far. So nothing too fancy here. Okay, so I got room. I can work. Yeah, not too bad. Now we're really gonna have to figure out why my sensors are going wacky. They have not been going wacky until today. I had to reboot my computer. I'm running late today. Of course, then that's when Windows decided to update, so I ran even later. This is actually okay. This is now assuming that I didn't mind hitting my table. Actually pretty decent. Now my center circle. I don't think you guys. I don't know if you guys see that. I don't think you can see it, but there's my center circle is actually straight below this guy. I'm actually a little surprised. It's in the middle of that black, right about there. That's about my hand is actually at the middle. I don't know if you can see it, but anyways, well, this is kind of sitting in my stomach. But to be fair, my table's right there. So, okay, well, yeah, the key is, I think what we'll do is we'll put the to help things, we're going to put the detectors above. And this is almost more of a background. So, alright, so let's do some simple detectors. And some of this is just me playing around with some look and effects. The real thing I want to get to is you touch a spot, which will show for now, I guess, as a transparent sphere, blue transparent sphere. And then what I want it to do is put, for now, we're going to just put an asteroid up. Maybe make it spin with a hologram effect. When you stop touching the sphere, it goes away. Okay, simple. Alrighty. So let's put the sphere right there. Go ahead and get a little closer. Let's just, yeah, so we're going to do one. Let's not worry about anything. And there'll still be a script on this, which we'll get to in a moment. Alright, so I'm going to put it, I guess, it's an interesting point. Can you put a sphere on a canvas? I think so. I've never really tried. And does it render correctly? What is it doing? I would say it does not render correctly. Or my canvas has its own rules. Ha! It does render, and it is using these the scale like you would expect a transform. So it is using basically a transform. It just shows it differently. Okay. I guess one reason I would want to do that is if this was a real map, I'd want my detectable spots to move with the actual map. So I don't think it's a good idea to put my detectors outside the map. We might have other things where we can do a lot of things. I'm going to go with it for the moment. Just it's a little small, so let's resize it. I just went negative on that. It's black. I guess I should give it a color. Usually it's white. Apologies. I'm having my doubts that this is going to work. Oh, it's because the lighting in here is ferocious. Pre-rendered and very dark. Okay, so we're going to put a light over this. And for the moment, we'll turn on directional lighting for now. Space Mountain. Okay, so I'm going to make the sphere. Really, it's not exactly anything at this point. Well, no, I take that back. It's a collider. It has a sphere collider on it. Oh, I didn't know the default sphere. Okay. We're going to treat it as a trigger. We don't really want any physics. Don't want any gravity. I mean, there's no rigid body. It's just a trigger. And let's give it its own material. So let's create a new material. We'll call it a maps. this will be a map. One. I don't have any names yet. We'll then use map point as its material. Now we can change the material color to blue until it is transparent. Wow, that is not changing. Let's develop my material. Not changing. Okay. Oh, yeah, saturation. Surprisingly dark. With the emission, get some emission. Darker blue. Oh, make it blue, please. With some light. There you go. Tell you what, make it match that color. All right. Yeah, it's not great, but it'll work. Map point. I'm not gonna worry too much about lighting. Let's just not cast shadows and not worry about receiving shadows, just to keep things tight. Okay, just a blue blob. It's not a light source or anything, so we're not worried about that. Okay. All right, so let's attach a basic script to this. Let's add a new script, and we'll call it a map point. Yeah. Okay. Always have fun with colliders because it's like, okay, you know, who triggers who sometimes. It's a little weird, but this one's pretty straightforward. We want it to detect when the hand touches it. So when the hand touches it, put the asteroid. We'll get to that. Are we loading? So we were. My apologies. We're loading. Okay. Should have looked at that earlier, huh? I usually leave it on the background, but with the computer crash, it's coming back. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Of course, I turned on that. I like my character turn on repeats. Call me DOS person. Alright, so we got a map point. What we want is an on trigger angle. Exactly, that's correct. Because I'm having a... Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah. And of course, it's a collider. Others to example. I don't need this yet, so well, I guess we might. I'll just use public pool. That's the default. So something triggers on it. It's going to say, of course, expanded equals true. Actually, let's just go void expand. No, I don't have to do that. I'll just do this. Expanded equals true. And because of potential multiple colliders at the left and the right hand, we're going to only expand it once. So if not expanded, we're going to expand it. And that's where we'll... There it technically may not be an issue, but that should keep things same. I'm going to say expanded equals true. And for now, I don't have... I'll just put a debug log. Expanded. And of course, when we exit, other logo expanded, false, and print unexpanded. Nothing too exciting there. Point, I'm just doing this so I can see that if I touch it with one or two controllers, now there's only one, so in theory it should be hard to touch the two, but somebody's going to try. Or chance. Okay. Oh. Let's see if we compile errors. Everybody happy? Yeah, we're good. Okay, so I got a little blue bot, and of course, can't really see anything, but I see the message expanded, and I guess we'll do it this way. You can see that as I pass through it, we get expanded and unexpanded. And it should be doing it for, do this right. Come on, hands. That's right, over my keyboard. I have expanded and unexpanded appearing in the text in the lower left. Very good. Okay. Next. Next, I'm going to... Well, I've got to make the stuff above it appear. Okay. For the moment, I'm not going to do any real fancy. I'm just making an asteroid above it with a holographic effect. Now, I have to check on some things first. I do have asteroids, so let me just pick out one of those. Now, my ultimate goal is to have multiple spots on the map, and each one has its own little custom cluster of what it looks like you're going to encounter. So this should be kind of straightforward. Well, right now we're going to just make it appear, and I'm going to just make an asteroid. I'm going to put the holographic effect, and then maybe we can do some special effects. So let's see here. Let's find the, okay, I've got asteroids. Asteroid mesh object, I think. Whoa, really? Teeny tiny. Okay, that's my small asteroid. Okay, well, that one's small. Seems like every time I get an asset from somebody, it's always the wrong size. It drives me crazy. Let's see here. Easiest thing to do when you can't figure out where to put something is to put it in another object, zero out the position. Where am I moving? Don't rotate it anymore. Alrighty. By the way, we want to break the prefab instance because we're going to kind of make our own. Alright, so are you even close to where you should be? Yeah, okay. is inside the orb right now, because I currently put that also at 0, 0, 0 inside of the 0. Okay. No problem. That works actually pretty good. What I'm going to do is put that inside the map point. And then I'm going to pull it above, resize it a little bigger. Now, I'm going to make a fairly big one, just so I can see it easily. Voila. There we go. Alright, I'm going to actually then create another empty, put this object inside of that, call this object the point model. Alright, and then we're going to put in here, this is not going to really be much of anything at this point, so I'm going to just call it a game object model. Come back over here, we see when we come to the map point, we now have a catches up. It's taking a while. Not sure what's up there. All right. Now we have a model. And so I'm going to just group it, put it there. Model doesn't have to, is always going to be scale of 1, maybe up different, I'm not sure. Actually, that would make sense to move it up. Scale is getting me. Do some astrophysics here. Now I do have one particular hologram. I don't know if that's the best one for here, but we'll start with that. Holograms component. Holo controller. Yeah, I guess that's is that the controller? Yeah, okay. This is the one I need. Okay, again. Go. Now, if this is just a hologram effect, a pretty simple one I got off of the asset store, and as you can see, it's not quite the right effect what we need here, but it is working. I've purchased another one off the store. I need to download and test. This has a lot of settings though. You can change the speed so it's kind of flashing. It's really intended for a much bigger, a little more solid in this case. We can make very thin lines. Actually, though, we need no separation. And it's not quite the right one for us today. Do some rotation on it. Make the line brighter or less bright. I don't necessarily mind that, but it would be nice if it was even thinner and we had more lines. So this may be the wrong one for us, and that's okay. That's why we tried other ones. Let's see if. So I'm going to go to the asset store and see it. Have I downloaded that? I may have. Okay. I'm working off screen, just a little privacy here for a moment. All right. Enter passwords and things like that. So I'm going to look for I picked it up here. I should have downloaded it when I had the chance. Let me see. I could look. I guess I could look through. Actually, you know what? I should look through. Wait a minute. There it is. There we go. I'll just open in Unity. Unity Store. It's awesome. People are working on giving you stuff you can use. Can't say bad things about it. The price, of course, is always a question of whether or not you want to pay for it. $15 for this holographic might be rich for some people. I haven't enough experience with shaders. It seemed to have the features I wanted. I particularly like the way it has this outer glow, and it has the lines. The current hologram shader I picked up, which was cheaper, I think, pretty sure, yeah, was just the lines, and there's not quite enough variations. So let's give this one a try. Hopefully it's about as simple as what I've been used to. Of course, they have a bunch of samples. For the moment, I'm going to just go ahead and import all that. Okay. Close this tab. We're good there. We have a Zologo. Alright, graphic shader. Take a quick look at the quick start guide. Brightness fine. It's a good shader. Shape behavior, rim lights, main lights. So it's just a shader. That's all we gotta do. And that's all we gotta do. Okay, let's give it a quick try. Let's see. Okay, so here we have our asteroid model. I'm going to remove this for now. We're going to change the shader over here to the sci-fi shader. Now, as you can see, it looks differently. Let's go ahead and use our tint, our border we keep using. I do not know its strength and whatnot, but we will play with these. Let's see what we get if we just hit play. I have, of course, the game view coming up. Alright, first thing I notice is it's just a gray blob. I'm going to use the scene over here because it looks pretty close to that other than the lines, I guess. Actually, that's a good question. Is the lines actually there? No, there's no lines in the actual view. It's just because it's selected. Okay. Well, this guy looks pretty cool. Let's see what we can do with him. He has a tent, which I'll play with. Okay, so this is really the color I was looking for. Alright, fine. The rim. Yeah, I'm sorry, I selected the wrong thing. So I'm going to go with a fairly standard white for the moment for the rim. I don't see any difference. I guess the lighting on the edges are a little different. Put a texture on it. Really? I guess I should have read the README. Okay, so, scan lines. Okay, scale speed. Checkbox was. So, where are we here? I'm going to throw a texture on there. No. Here's your movement of the lines. Alright, X and Y. Okay, so we're getting some lines. That's how he's doing it. He's using a texture. Alright, let's see something then. This implies that somebody scan lines with flicker. Alright. Could actually look at their demos. Wow. I get this weird feeling that my scale is way off. It's really hard to see anything though. Let's see, brightness. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Fade. No fade. Boy, is it hard to see. Alright. Make a difference? I don't notice a difference. Nope. Alright. Well, you know, that's interesting, but let's, oh, wow. Okay, this one animates in the extra. Not all of them do. I guess I'm okay with that. Okay. Well, he's animating. The other one I had did not, so it's almost a little weird, but that's good because then, oh, okay, so there's a scan line going left to right. And, okay. So turn this off. Okay, so scan is left to right. All right, let me look at their PDF again. Actually, let me look. Let's take a moment. We'll save our project, and we'll need to do that anyways. I have an autosave thing. Unity's driven me crazy. I put in a script to autosave based on somebody else's post. Anytime I hit play, it saves. I realize there's always a risk that you change something you don't want, but that risk seems to be not enough. I mean, I'd rather say too often than not enough. Okay, well, we're getting somewhere. Let me just take a quick look at their example. So, again, they have a samples, a Halloween scene. I'll just do the samples. All right, oh, and this gives me a very quick look at the scene. So okay, so we can use the original texture of the asteroid to get the texture. If you look closely, you can see the textures there. We're doing some other weird effects on it. This one also very much the same. So let's take a quick look-see. You can see its shader is orange and red. The texture is that. Scan line is some other thing he picked. That must be his left-right scan line. Hey, why don't we find out? Enable more scan. We can, so it's negative. If I make it 50, you can see it going the other way. Okay, so yeah, I'm affecting the left-right scan. But I guess technically I'm setting the scan so rate at 0 and then minus 100 it goes up. And this particular, let's slow it down. There we go. Hard to see, but it looks pretty cool. So that's pretty decent. This is called Gradient Flicker. I might borrow that since it's part of the license. I'll have to double check, but yeah, that should be good. And this texture here, I'm assuming, is the Sentry albedo. So yeah, so he uses the albedo, he doesn't do any weird tiling, and then strength and fall off. He uses very dark. If we change the brightness, it gets brighter. Okay. Not sure about the range on that. And then fade is, oh, okay, so fade is how much you want of the edge versus the end. It's a really nice effect. Okay. I do like the fact I can see the effects immediately here. Let's take a quick look over here. The reason is I want more of this edge and or lines. Actually, here, this is actually kind of the one that sold me. This is, let's see what we got here. Orange on the edge, fairly strong, fairly good fall off. Okay, so the rim lighting has the fall off, and that can allow us to not have just the whole solid color. Then it's just albedo again. And then we have a whole bunch of scan lines going up and down. Okay, so scan lines, oh, is that the same one? Scan lines would flicker. That was the one I borrowed. But they did scale it down quite a bit. And along the X. X is left to right. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing there. I guess we can quickly find out. If we were to make it 1, okay, so that's the left. You can see that scan line going across the screen there. And if we undo that, it's like a flicker. So, random effect scan line. And if we do 2, so okay. I'll give him credit. That seems to work pretty well. And that scan lines can be used in a variety of ways, left, right, whatnot. Okay. And oh, I see. If you want more scan lines, you can put another texture on there. I'm kind of curious now. There's a gradient flicker. You get all types of fun flicker effects for the family. Right. I don't really see it, so let's. Oh, it's not moving as well. No. Now, obviously, we're going to play around with that, but I can see some settings that work pretty good. The scan lines with flicker really work quite well. Use the original albedo. That will give it some texture and definition. We can change the brightness, which I have to admit is. The only thing I guess I can complain about is it's kind of dark. Okay. All right, let's go back to our scene. I'm not going to save any of that. All right, our scene is. There's our scene resources, scenes. There we are. And the inside scene. We're really close to stuff. We'll go back to Mr. Map Point. And let's try some of those effects. Map Point, which has the asteroid inside of it. Come on, get down there. And just for sake of argument, what texture was used? Oh, that's right, I pulled in a mesh. Okay, let's look at one of our other prefabs. We use, that's right, because it's a different, yeah, right. So the albedo we're using for this asteroid is it's the same as this one. It's this guy, Stone 4. Okay. So if we go back to Mr. Asteroid, we then give him an albedo texture. There we go. You can see there's some texture there. its brightness is already quite bright. It's because I've got such a bright front foreground. Okay, well, let's up the brightness on this guy. It's okay. White is actually it's pretty good. Let's put those lines on it like they did. Lines with flicker. I'll try the flicker. Okay, they did also a pretty good scale. They moved it. I don't know. Okay, looks like it's wow. This can't be right. Next movement. There we go. Not quite the look I'm looking for, but it's getting there. Alright, so 1, 10. That'll kill people. That's pretty good. What does the effect? Okay, so the effect is how much we see it. I'm going to have to do something with the rim lighting, I think. I have to bring it out. I'm going to have to bring some yellow in. Yellow, please. With strength. There we go. Actually, that'll help a lot. And the fall off being. Let's see, how much does it affect the scene? It's pretty good. Let's see here. Now, keep in mind, I got my lights on, so I'm going to turn off the lights. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. It's a little weird, but all right. Don't care for the scan line moving left to right through there. You know, as we get one pretty good settings here, we'll go with that. And then the scale. Let's make those lines even thinner. Yeah, real thin. And then let's just make sure it doesn't do weird things in VR. Maybe the first time. So let's see what we got. Alright, just looking. Alrighty. Yeah, got problems I gotta deal with. Well, the first thing to note is I may have to change my furniture around. Quite simply, that table is overpowering my interface. Before I had everything up, so of course I guess you have the background there. That might be a problem too. I just noticed that. It's pretty good that I hadn't noticed it, but I don't know. Doesn't look bad. It just needs a little more of something, and it may just be the model itself. It isn't that. It's kind of boring. Well, that's right. We're going to rotate it. Let's see what rotating does to this thing. I don't really know if I want to do a rigid body. I'm kind of simple when it comes to stuff like that, but all right, we'll try it out. We'll try a rigid body for once. No gravity, no drag. Make sure to move. I don't use this a whole lot, so I was thinking. Nah, I'll just do it the easier way. What's the easier way, you say? Good old update. And put it, since we already have Matt Point running, he's going to go ahead and rotate. What we're going to do is we're going to rotate our model. criterion dot here, and we'll just do, I don't know, 1 degree, 363 degrees a second or so. So that means we'll give it a rotate around the Z. No, Y. Rotate around this. And delta time times, let's see, 1 millisecond, 360 degrees. We can change that number. Actually, we'll cut 2 seconds. 1, 2. It's kind of a slow one. What's it complaining about? Double the float. Oh yeah. That'll rotate it while it's sitting there. That's part of an update. What we're really doing is rotating the model. Let's see if I didn't mess that up. Yeah, sure did. Figures. I'm having problems today. Z is this way. X is that way. Y is that way. Are we rotated already? No, that's true. The map point. There's no rotation, is there? There's a little bit of rotation. Pooey. There's a local rotation though, so it means this thing's rotated towards us. Yeah, you can see it's already rotated some. That's why. Well, no, that's not why. That's just. I get 3 guesses, so I get 3 wishes. What does the genie give me? Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So it's at a weird angle, and now it's rotating around. You would think with a local rotation, though. Let's see, doing the Z. It's kind of right, is the thing, because we're not really quite above it. We're not really zeroed. If we zero this off, just for the sake of argument, right, and we hit play, right, it's going to rotate. I guess I could say it doesn't while playing, but anyways, it's going to rotate around the center there based on wherever its center is. And part of the problem is this asteroid. It needs to be 180 or something like that. Okay, now that's a little more reasonable. And if we then take it up its local, play, it'll be right above the point. Since the thing is it was kind of doing this business. So let's see what we're seeing. There we go. Much better. Now if we look at this in the game, it actually that works pretty well. Now is sitting above, rotating. That actually looks better than I thought it would, although again it's kind of dark. Do not like that darkness. I have one idea of how to improve it, but I don't really like doing stuff like this. That was a really, really, really bad idea. Let's use just a plain old transparency, unlit, transparent, texture. Now actually we want an unlit colored color. Okay. And actually, that was fine. I don't think the alpha works in this case. Nope. It's be an unlit transparent color. Unlit transparent color. There it is. There you go. So, do they add? Probably not. Probably. Now I just have this transparent, solid mess that's hiding each other. We turn off this one. Oh. Did I somehow affect both of them? What's going on? Aw, man. Put everything back. Why is it affecting both of them? Because it's the same. It's the same untitled event area. Ah. Okay. Duplicate that. Call this blue hologram. Okay. Back here. Which one did I get? Of course, I got the wrong one. Okay, so I want blue hologram. That's its texture. This one down here. We'll make it something else, and we'll call it blue asteroid. Blue transparent asteroid. All right, but instead of that, we use what was it again? We're using the unlit transparent color. Yeah, you can see it through there. Needs to be brighter, more transparent, more to the white. It's actually not as much coloring as I would have expected. Pretty vibrant. I'm not a real fan of doing it this way. What I really probably, I'm not thinking. Yeah. Dude, add material. That's what it's for. You can even change the order. And you need that. And voila. Not 100% sure if I like that, but okay. Interesting. It makes it darker. It's making it darker because of the. May not be a bad thing. Hologram that makes things darker. That's weird looking. Sure it looks like in game. Gives it more texture. It's more like a fingerprint than a hologram, but I guess I can go with that. Okay, well, I'm getting, again, too sidetracked. The point is I wanted to see if that could be done, and it sort of can be. And, maybe with a highlight or an additional outline, that might become more obvious. It's also a little, I think in some ways it's too low. It might need to come out. And you know what? I think bigger. I think bigger. Bigger, taller, faster. All right. Because in a way, the whole point is to have small maps and then have a nice detail of the asteroid we're going to. Without going too crazy, but yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so the model higher. Are you kidding me? 3 is down. Really? Are you kidding me? How do we get that down? Alright, now let's take it to -5. Let's make it bigger. We'll assume everything needs to be bigger. This is clearly a big model. Not as bad as it looks, but you know, hey, there you have it, folks. And then we can put text around it. The whole goal in the end of this is to pick the map, select it. This also gives room for like an effect like we saw with the other holograms, which I may totally swipe. Yeah, I like that better. It's kind of dark, but we can then put some text around it and put the focus on it. Makes it a little obvious. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is make this appear when I click on it and disappear. Now, the real goal, of course, really is we should touch, it appears, it stays there, and touch another one, it appears, and we'll get into that. For now, I'm going to just make it so if you hold it, it appears, you let go, it disappears. Really, really, really simple stuff here. All right, so by default, the model is off. We'll go to the map point. That's my thing. Map point text. If we are expanded, it's true, and then we say model set active true. Don't need that anymore. And for the moment, model set active false. All right. Okay, come back up. Hit the button. There we go. Now we may make this a little more active, but there's a large collision area around the hand, so it's not as bad as it seemed. Now it's instantaneous. There's no tweening, special effects, or anything with it popping and appearing. But let's have a little fun. Let's take this to the next level just a little bit. And what we're going to do in this case is we're going to have map point 2 and maybe 3, just to kind of see how this looks. Point 2, take that. Interesting. Center it, please. Map point 1, map point 2. So let's say map point 2 is over here on the map. Okay, we'll put map point 3 down. Okay. Point 3 we'll put over here. Alright, because they're children of the actual object, we should be pretty easy. So, oh, go backwards. There we go. One's there, one's there, one's there. In fact, you can choose 2, which one could argue is not a good thing. But this is your interface. Choose what level you want to go to. Next, put a push button, go to the next level. or the next scenario. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I can break it up into sections. And we can actually put some indicators on the screen. We could still go a little wider. I think we could go make this a wide display if we wanted to. Not too shabby. Okay. Now, ideally, I need to make it so when you click on it, it would be nice if the ball is actually also highlighted. Of course, you know. There you go. Just boom. Doop. Select it. I got some animation for the hands, which I'll also put in there. I've got one where I want to make it point. I'd love it if it just kind of showed you, one or two fingers. We'll be culturally sensitive and just use 2 fingers. Just point like you're pointing at it, like in this case. All right, and yeah, we need to put text. Maybe we should put the text on the screen or underneath it. I kind of like the idea of putting it above, mostly because right now my head is looking down. I'm tired. I'd rather it be up high with some text. Now, one thing I can do is instead of making it centered based on where I'm clicking, I could make it always in the center. I kind of like this though. This is really neat. Yeah, just as a little bit of a play here. Let's just play a little bit on. So let's do number 3. This is a little bit of play. What I'm going to do here is I just want to experiment with like how flexible is this, just to know. We can have like a group of asteroids clumped together, looking kind of rotated, and